Second day, even better because then we know for sure.
So yeah, number Mori, that's important.
But another guy that knows answer those questions, Dave Nunez.
Okay,
Dave Nunez, who's that?
we have quorum, we can
captain at night.
start, wonderful.
Yeah.
Again,
Oh,
I'm so
Dave,
sorry.
Dave,
All right, so, Mr. Q, let's get this party started. Let's call this meeting to order, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Again, my apologies for being late. This is the Charter Review Board meeting, City of West Miami. Today is Wednesday, October 6th, and it is, later than I thought, 5:45. Thank you all for being here and giving of your time once again. So, I forget where we left off. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, why don't we do that? That would be nice, right? All right, Madam Clerk,
Item 1 is the Pledge of Allegiance.
William Gonzalez Jr., how about if you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah.
Stand up and lead us in the pledge.
Do it,
bud.
young patriot.
Put your phone down.
Where?
The flag's over there. You can stand wherever you'd like. Okay?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Nicely done.
Lenny, that's my grandson.
Nicely done.
Oye, como ha crecido.
Well, the issue is not resolved. This is only for optics.
Ah, okay.
Nicely done.
Okay.
Usted que tiene dos pencils, porque no me
Oh,
da
here,
pencil?
claro,
Dos
I
pencils,
have.
Que tiene tres o cuatro.
Madam Clerk,
Thank you.
roll call, please.
Yes, item 2, roll call. Mayor Rhonda Rodriguez.
Present.
Vice Mayor Eric Diaz-Padrón is excused. Commissioner Candida Blanca.
Yes.
Commissioner Juan Blanes.
Present.
Commissioner Luciano Suarez.
Yes.
Member Lenny Caravia. Here. Member Ivan Chavez Sr.
Present.
Ivan Chavez Jr.
Here,
Christian Diaz, alternate member, is not present. Natalie Milian is excused. Member Eduardo Mujina.
present.
Martin Torres is not present. Member Martin Torres present. Yolanda Aguilar, City Manager. Jose Villalobos, City Attorney, and City Clerk Neri Gonzalez.
So we have quorum, yes?
Madam Mayor, you have quorum.
Perfect. Okay, next item.
Item 3, citizen presentations.
Anyone from the public wish, I see no one from the public who would like to speak. Mr. Gonzalez, do you have anything you want to bring up? No? Okay. Next item.
Item 4, approval of minutes of September 8th, 2021 Charter Review Board meeting.
The minutes are attached.
Motion.
Thank you. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Approval of minutes of September 15th, 2021 Charter Review Board meeting.
Motion.
Thank you. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Thank you. Next item.
Item 5, under new business. Item 5A, opening remarks by the mayor.
Again, thank you all for being here and giving of your time. In the interest of time, I have no other comments or remarks, so let's go on to item B.
Item B is revisit issues discussed at Charter Review Board meeting of September 15, 2021 meeting. And which includes item C, which are the sections of the charter for review. My recommendation is to start with what left pending, which is 304 compensation and expenses, first paragraph. That was left pending for this meeting.
Okay, so we are,
Let me text Penna and find out.
304, first paragraph.
I see that, yes, revisit next meeting.
Okay, if I may, Madam Mayor.
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay, 304, discussion we had last meeting. Giving this some thought in lieu of the economy and everything and whatnot, I say just leave it as it is as a mechanism for possibility of updating it at a later time,
Okay,
rather than update it now, which more than likely will probably be voted down due to economic reasons, and as opposed to eliminating it as something that's antiquated, just leave it there. At some further time, it can be revisited and increase at that point if those individuals deem it. So I say move on.
Mr. Chavez, you're referring only to the first paragraph, right?
Correct.
$20?
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
Because that one, I have a note, was never on the ballot. Okay, anyone else on this first
I
paragraph?
think somebody was gonna research.
Yes, I have here that the manager was gonna provide us more information at the next meeting.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Mayor and members of the City Commission and the board, I prepared a table for you. It's attached to the actual agenda for the meeting, and of course, some cities did not get a chance to respond. But in the meantime, I surveyed a handful of cities that are similar to ours in size and budget and demographics. And it would be the fourth page, right after your agenda. And it gives you an idea of what the mayor and commission salaries or meeting expenses and their travel allowance, just so that you can get an idea of what other similar cities are doing in terms of compensation for for their elected officials.
Yes.
That is,
Yes.
that is.
Right after the minutes, it's got a
Right.
blue heading and a yellow highlight. is
For
where we are.
example, Biscayne Park, which is, I think, a little bit smaller than us, they have a $4,000 a year paid in quarterly installments to the mayor and to the commission, $2,000 a year paid in quarterly installments of $500. There was an effort to try to reduce or eliminate this amount. I have not heard back from that manager on what occurred. El Portal, the compensation for all 5 of their commission members is $3,000 each per year and $1,200 each for discretionary funds. North Bay Village, the mayor has an annual salary of $6,800. The commissioner's salary is $6,300 annually. And they have an expense account of, the mayor has an expense account of $9,500 annually, and the commissioners $7,000 annually. So their meeting attendance is included in their expense account. The city of South Miami is a little larger than ours, and I think larger budget-wise than ours. But to give you an idea, the mayor receives a $14,000 a year salary. The commission receives a $12,000 a year salary. They each have health insurance coverage or receive the cost of health insurance if they provide proof of full coverage. The mayor has an expense account of $2,000 per year, and each commissioner has an expense account of $1,500 per year, and they each have $1,200 for travel every year. Sweetwater. Obviously, they have a different form of government. They have a strong mayor form of government, so in essence, the mayor is the manager, and that position pays $95,000 plus $20,000 for health insurance benefits. Commissioners, there are 7 commissioners. Each one of them is assigned $12,000 a year, plus $10,715 as expense account, plus health insurance. And they also have a vehicle allowance on a yearly basis of $7,170. They don't have meeting expenses per se. And of course, the city of West Miami is also listed there. There is no salary. The city elected officials receive a $1,200 per year non-accountable expense account for the mayor and city commission members. That comes out to $100 every month for the mayor and each commissioner, and $20 per meeting for mayor and city commission members pursuant to the charter. They also get medical insurance offered by the city of West Miami, free of charge for the commission and their extended family until April of next year, and that'll change. Yes, sir.
So, Madam Manager, so at the end of the year, all these other cities get like 12 grand, 6 grand, whatever. How about the ones here in West Miami?
We don't have a salary for our
There's no
commissioners.
salary at all, right?
No.
How
how about if we, say like, let's not go too crazy, like at Portal?
That seems to be the one where, well,
I mean, we know our citizens are gonna complain about money and whatever, but I mean, go with the lowest, and at least it's something, we're trying to get you guys something. I said if we try to just, mirror image the one from El Portal, I mean, it's an increase for you guys.
How comparable is that? What it was El Portal again?
El Portal is $3,000 for each commissioner a year.
See, the way I see it is, and it's really, I mean, obviously, the ones we have now have done a great job, but it's moving forward, it's a fairness thing. You know what I mean? It's absolutely true that things should be done out of the goodness of your heart. Be quite honest, if you're doing all these meetings and doing all the things that everybody's doing here for $3,000 a year, you're doing it out of the kindness of your heart. It's not like, you're not talking about, you know, Sweetwater is a different situation where that person receives city manager
Right.
salary.
Right.
Well, we love
Right.
this city.
Let's do it, retroactive for the last 20 years.
Let's do it,
No.
Non-proton, Mr.
let's do it on worth, on productivity.
The way I look at it, and please excuse me and I know we've tried this before, former Mayor Muina is here, and all of the commissioners that are here this evening, we've gone through this exercise. But I think that moving forward, it may be something that will incentivize future generations
Yeah.
in getting involved with the city. I mean, time is money, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
And so without breaking the bank, my opinion is that as the older people start to phase out, because it's attrition and you cannot stop it, you know, we have to make sure that the city will move forward in a good way with new leaders or up and coming leaders that are incentivized for their time.
And be quite honest, it's not just incentive,
It's fair.
and fairness, but we as residents of West Miami, if we are incentivizing the folks that come in and become commissioners and mayor, then we can demand of them. Because at that point, hey, listen, we may not paying you a lot, but we're paying you something. You know what I mean? No excuses.
Yep.
So
I'm in
I
total
don't-
agreement with you.
I don't
that's the way
disagree.
I see it.
I think we should put it in the ballot and see, I mean,
I've never had a problem with this. I mean, with what you're saying. It's just, I felt like, you know, I felt bad asking, you know what I'm saying? When you're sitting here, it's like, you know, you don't want to seem greedy, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Well,
what, you know? So
It's like I said before.
I totally agree with everything you're saying, though.
Like I said before,
Totally agree.
as a voter, I've always said, nope.
No,
Exactly.
And why I've always done that is because there's been no effort to explain it, to compare it,
Correct.
to show you the research. You know what I mean? And to explain that, yeah, listen, it's not just a fairness issue, but once we're paying these folks X amount of dollars, you know, we own you for that time as residents. You know what I mean? So,
I am in total agreement with you that we should. Go ahead, sir.
Mayor, can I
Go ahead.
talk for a little bit? Okay, I'm gonna talk very freely. I'm not in politics anymore, but I served the city 14 years in the Planning and Zoning Board, and I served the city as in the commission for another 15 years. So 30 years of my life I dedicated to the city, and never got a penny. You know, and in 2018, 2018, because of the time that I was spending here, I almost lost my personal company, which is where I have to support my family. I'm an architect, and I almost lost the company. People quit because I wasn't paying attention to my company because I was giving my heart to the city with all the commotion that was going on. So I'm in total agreement with you, because what happened is the following. If there's a compensation, there's an incentive for the person that is serving. And two, now as a resident, as a voter, I have the right to complain and say, hey, you're not doing your job.
That's exactly what you said.
So you know, what are you doing? Oh, I need to get money someplace else. No, you're getting paid. You know, maybe not a whole lot, but you're getting paid. I mean, you're supposed to represent me.
Yeah,
So, whereas before, you know, if anybody complained, I never said that. Commissioner Blanes never said that. Luciano Suarez never said that. The mayor never said that, but there were members in the commission that will say, hey, we're not getting paid. Okay? And this lady also. I'm sorry, I forgot about you.
It's okay.
Yeah, but you know, why? Because, I don't know, we have a big heart, and we believe in the city, and we.
We
you know,
live in the city.
Yeah.
It's part of our life.
Yes, yes,
Well, I mean,
We defend the city.
Yes.
Not only for you, because for me, for my family.
right.
yes.
For the last
So we all have
fif-
to
For the last
together.
I
50
think
years.
We go together.
we're all invested in the city of West Miami, but we as residents shouldn't abuse of people who have the volunteer heart.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? There's gonna be people like yourselves that'll give years and years to the city. We shouldn't take that for granted.
And the only reason I left, it was that reason, and the other reason was, in 2016, I had thyroid cancer, and I had to go for an operation, and that, you know, really messed me up. Thanks God, I did my 5 years yesterday, and everything is fine.
Good job, man.
So, but anyway, it takes a toll on you, you know, if you really care. If you don't care, it's a different story.
So, I mean, I don't know about.
Would you say
Commissioner
it's
Blanchard.
fair for us
No,
to
yeah,
go
when
with
you're
a,
done.
I think here in the city of West Miami, if we have an elected official that you need to say to him, hey, you're getting paid, do your job, they need to be recalled, tarred and feathered, they need to be hung, they need to be kicked out. Because when you have an elected official, okay, you have an ethical fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayer. You are representing every single resident that lives out there. So if you have to say to an elected official here, hey, do your job, you're getting paid, we're in bad shape. That person needs to go. They need to be recalled.
We
They
had that.
they need to be gone.
I don't disagree with that.
That,
And I'm
that
not-
person was gone.
Yes.
That was referring to.
I don't disagree with that, and I'm not saying that'll happen,
Both
because
of them.
obviously,
Both
all of you
them.
guys are volunteering to do this, basically
of
with no
them.
pay. But it's still, first of all, it's fair for us, if you all are volunteering and doing that kind of job for us, to at least compensate you for the fuel and the time away from your jobs and your families. Nobody's gonna become rich here.
Heck with that, it's the headaches.
Yeah.
Right, but part of that also is, if it does come down to an individual that is that type of individual, we can't guarantee we're never gonna get one
You
in
never
here,
know, yeah.
right? At least you got a little leg to stand on. It's
Right.
just a small part of it,
We
it's
have
not
to,
what it's
yeah,
all about.
once, remember.
It's mostly a fairness thing.
So, yes, Lenny, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if we, including the commissioners, if you think, I was just saying a portal because it doesn't seem so, it's the least of all the ones in here, and we gotta put this to a vote, and we know how our, you know, citizens here are. But if you guys agree with it, we can go a little higher if you think it'll be better. I'm just saying, let's put it to a vote, let's include it in the ballot.
Well, I suggest, they don't suggest anything.
Oh, okay. No, I'm suggesting to
Just
the commission here.
Us,
Yes.
You got a quorum?
this quorum here,
Let me tell you.
because they stand to benefit from
Yeah,
any
I
suggestions, so.
Let me tell you, I remember when Rebecca Sosa was in the beginning mayor here, they put in charter review in the ballot. Car allowance for Rebecca was $300 a month. And the residents vote no. And since that time, every time we suggest something in the ballot, it's no. So that's why I get out of that. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it.
But they-
Because I am
They are going to
totally
say no
away
anyhow.
from that.
I know they're
It's
gonna
okay,
say
but
no.
you know
If you
what?
want to
If
do
you
it,
don't
do it.
ask, you don't put it out there.
They are going to say no.
Anyway.
Commissioner Suarez, I don't sit with you anymore, so I can suggest.
That's right, that's
No,
right.
no.
That's four.
There's four of you, so
Okay, yeah.
I am
Charter
in
review board
total agreement with
is
you all.
the resident. The charter review is not the commissioner's review board, it's the
Yes.
charter review.
I think a newsletter put out explaining the whole thing.
And you
That's
said-
what I would do. I think the city has an obligation to explain to the residents, because I'm downstairs and so is Aneri every day. And residents actually come and say, what's the commission doing about this? That's why we pay them to do this. they don't get paid, I'm sorry, they don't have a salary. So, you know, people think automatically that the elected officials do receive compensation. And, you know, I think, like I said, for future generations, and we should put everything on the table. They have insurance benefits offered by the city, but that's something that was here way before their time on the
Long time,
commission. It's not like they changed anything to benefit themselves. That's been on the books since 1982. So I can tell you that, you know, I think something, at least something modest that would pay at least for the gasoline to go to meetings and represent the city, you know, is the least the city could do. And I would start with something nominal, maybe $300 a month or something like that. It doesn't have to be a whole lot of money. It's just an incentive, if you would, and maybe build some kind of CPI increase where the manager gets instructions if it passes, if we explain it correctly, where the manager has the obligation to factor that into the budget, whoever that is, whether I'm here or not. It doesn't matter. It's, you know, so that the
comes out
city
to
can move forward
$3,600 a year, which is
per
probably,
commissioner.
it's probably below the mean average of all of the
Yes,
smaller
it's on the
cities.
lower end, you know, so
The
we're
mean is
not
about
asking,
5,000, I think.
we're not asking, or we're not suggesting to you that we, you know, give the house away or anything like that. We're simply putting a small token, if you would, of recognition of what their job duties and responsibilities entail.
Is there any way that when we write this in the ballot, we can explain that up to this point, there's never been any compensation to you guys?
In
Is
the
there any-
newsletter, we
Just in the
can.
newsletter, you
Because in the
can?
ballot,
Nothing
in the
in the
ballot,
ballot.
we're very
Limited.
limited.
75 words per question,
It's
right,
not what you're
Annette?
voting
So it
for.
would all have to be explained in a newsletter that
To
would go out.
start, you know,
We can
it's
put
never,
everything in the ballot, in the
the
newsletter,
newsletter.
which will go out prior to, obviously, the ballot.
Right.
The ballot, we just have to word it exactly, I mean, we're very limited.
Yeah.
It's difficult for the ballot.
Question
Yes.
for the attorney.
Mr. Attorney?
If it's worded, say, 3,600 per year, would that mean that the payment is once per year, or does it have to be worded like 300 a month?
It's up to you.
Make it
It's
whatever you
the
want.
way you decide. And you have to decide whether you want to keep the compensation for meetings at the $20 rate.
Or you
Or-
can incorporate the $20 per meeting into,
Well, at that
you know,
point,
one amount, you know, one
Yeah.
figure.
I would suggest do it per year, maybe at the end of the year. That way there's incentive to come make all your meetings and whatnot. And I mean, it's stipulated here, I believe, well, no, that's for the other board members, if you're missing meetings or whatnot. But anyway, I don't know. What do you think? The 300 a month or the $3,600 for the year?
What would sound worse to a citizen?
Probably 300 a month.
300 a month sounds higher, yeah.
Sounds
more
like
reasonable.
more of a commitment.
The 3,600 a year, yeah.
Because the word thousands is sparkling something. And 300 is
Yeah,
simple.
but 300 every month
Every
sounds like a
month.
pretty
It's
big
more
commitment
reasonable.
from citizens.
You think so?
It's more reasonable.
Okay, 300, if you think it's gonna be, I mean, you've been here longer with the citizens, so you
That's-
know how we react when we go to the ballot.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
see
So
the
we've
word
got
thousands
experience
and
trying to
people
get this
flinch,
passed
you know.
Former
it's-
Mayor Muñoz, what do you think? What's the
I
pulse
agree
of the
with-
citizens?
I agree with Commissioner Suarez.
Okay, so 300.
Monthly? And are we gonna take away the 20 per meeting? Put it just a flat 300 per month?
Yeah.
That way it shows we're taking away something, like, you know,
Yeah.
like,
They wouldn't
Well,
know.
they
no
would
long-
know.
well, that's true,
They wouldn't know.
that's true. So,
Okay,
I mean, you could
But-
leave
but-
that as a vehicle.
But, okay, whatever we agree is fine, but let's go back to the original point. There has to be an education period. There has
Yes.
to be, you know, there has to be an effort, because that's the whole thing, you
Yeah.
know. If that effort doesn't take place, it will fail again.
okay.
And it
What
doesn't
would that
guarantee
be?
that it's gonna pass.
What would that be if we did it
now let
per
me ask you a
meeting?
question.
Huh?
In addition to the $20 per meeting, there's also the $100 per month non-accountable expense account.
But that's
Are you
paragraph two.
including that in the 300?
No, we said that was okay. We said that,
So that stays.
If you
The-
notice
I
the-
think
that-
that's,
the
we're talking
$100
about paragraph one.
That's just meetings. We've gone into, oh, so you were saying the 300 per month would be for meetings? No.
Because that's what we were addressing. We said we were gonna leave, on the last meeting, we said we would leave paragraph two as it was, and paragraph three. So we said, if we're gonna make any changes, it has to be made to one.
So are we going to call this a per meeting compensation? Or are we going to call it a commission? I mean, what are we going to call this $300 a month?
Well, the paragraph we're on is the $20 per meeting, right?
Right.
Gravy.
What is, where is the annual compensation addressed?
There is no annual.
There is no.
You got
So you
two
kinda-
amounts are $20 per meeting
We have to revise
and
that paragraph.
$100 per month non-accountable.
I would word it, as the establishment of a compensation of $300 a month moving forward. You know, if it passes by the voters, obviously moving forward, $300 a month as a salary or a compensation for the mayor and each member of the city commission.
So the $20 per meeting stays and the $100 non-accountable expense stays. This is above that.
Yes.
Is that what we're saying? Okay, I just want to be clear.
Establishing a compensation.
Establishing a compensation, so
No,
it's an
that's not,
additional.
that's not what they're saying, Commissioner. They're saying,
I would respectfully suggest that you speak one at a time because this is recorded.
okay.
And it's
So,
very difficult to read afterwards, okay?
thank you, Mr. Attorney. So, just to clarify, the $20 per meeting stays?
Stays.
The $100 per month non-accountable expense account stays?
Stays.
We're adding the $300 a month compensation, or whatever we decide it will be called.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay.
Didn't we
It-
talk
it will
about last
be
meeting,
revised.
just $20 is something that's been around for
It will be revised.
To establish.
Establish. All right, so, on the ballot.
Establishing a compensation.
We are taking a vote on this, are we all in agreement, all in favor? Any opposed? No, okay, so on the ballot, we will establish a $300, what are we gonna call it?
Compensation
Compensation.
for the mayor and each member of the city commission monthly. Or monthly compensation for the mayor and each member
Compensation.
of the city commission.
Okay,
Good luck with that one.
that's two ballot things we have so far, we're doing great. All right, so, that took care of 3.0.
Madam Mayor, is it the will of the board that we go back and try to get some responses on the other cities
I
that
don't
did
think
not?
so.
I don't think so.
No.
I think this is
They have,
good.
if they haven't responded by now, they're not gonna
Yeah.
respond. Yeah, no. And thank you for getting that information for us.
You're welcome.
All right, so,
Madam Mayor,
yes, sir.
in paragraph 3, I think we spoke about it last time too, with regard to the per diem expenses, that it says that it is not the intent hereby to permit payment of expenses and or per diem expenses for travel, for attendance at seminars, conventions, dinners, and for lobbying purposes. But when we go to Tallahassee, or when you guys go to Tallahassee, you're lobbying, correct? So you're not getting per diem in those cases?
We do. When we go to Tallahassee once a year, when we go for the legislative session, we do get the per diem for meals. And of course, the city pays our lodging and our airfare.
So this wording is incorrect then?
What number are you looking at?
Paragraph 3,
It is not the
the
intent
second to
hereby
last
to
sentence.
permit payment of expenses and/or per diem expenses for travel, for seminars, conventions, dinners, for lobbying purposes, or for other such uses. That's a very good point. Mr. Attorney,
Yes, ma'am.
we are discussing paragraph 3, 3.0 compensation expenses. It is not the intent hereby to permit payment of expenses and/or per diem expenses for travel, for attendance at seminars, conventions, dinners, for lobbying purposes, or for other such uses. Yet, we do get a per diem when we go to Tallahassee for the legislative session. We do get meal per diems. Is that correct?
$6, $11, and $19 as set by Florida statutes.
So that is contradictory to part of paragraph 3.
Something that threw me off reading it, didn't make sense to me, but.
Well, the next sentence, it contradicts that.
Yep.
Expenses for travel and or per diem expenses shall be limited to that as is provided for within the statutes of the state of Florida. So that second sentence contradicts the one I just read.
Supersedes it. You could say it supersedes it. Quoting, if you quote the state statute. It's the first,
How does it read? It's not the intent,
It said, okay,
the first,
yeah, okay, so it says, it is not the intent hereby, wait a minute. It is not the intent hereby to permit payment of expenses and or per diem expenses for travel, for attendance at seminars, conventions, dinners, for lobbying purposes, or for other such uses.
whose intent?
And then it goes on, next sentence, expenses for travel and or per diem expenses shall be limited to that as is provided for within the statutes of the state of Florida.
That's like per diem for
In
travel
other words,
expenses.
I would think that would
maybe
be-
they're
Go
saying,
lobbying,
hey,
you're
you
not-
know, you're not gonna be able to go and have a vacation each time you go out and you do this, but yeah, you're gonna be compensated. Maybe that's what they were trying to say.
Like, to me, I read it like if you guys go to Tallahassee to lobby, that you won't get per diem expenses covered there, because it says it's not the intent.
It could be taken that, like that. I can see where it could be taken like that.
Just,
But we do get
We get
per
paid.
diem for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
just a minor thing.
Contradictory.
Anybody else? I know, it's just contradictory.
What page are you?
so,
We are on page 5 of 21.
so that
Third
paragraph 3,
Paragraph 3.
the first sentence of paragraph 3 is a continuation of paragraph 2. So in paragraph 2, it's telling you that you're gonna get $100 a month, $1,200 for the year, correct?
Yes.
Then paragraph 3 further says that the council may, at regularly called meetings by a 4/5 affirmative vote, approve additional expenses. I assume, that sounds like it means above the 1,200, for council members to travel or per, excuse me, I'm sorry. Or per diem within the state of Florida, provided however such travel and per diem expenses are for direct benefit. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, above the 1,200, the council can approve by a 4/5 vote. Above the 1,200, as long as it's City of West Miami business within the state of Florida. So the intent, it is not the intent hereby to permit payment of expenses and or per diem expense for travel, for attendance at seminar. Yeah, that sentence either doesn't have to be there, because it's already telling you what the intent is, the sentence up before that, or it's got to be more indicative of within the state of Florida part. It doesn't seem like it should be there, correct?
Saying council could vote on it, but then they're not allowed to give per diem expenses for lobbying and such. That's what it kind of reads to me, but.
In 2018, I tried to correct that by suggesting wording to be put in the ballot, allowing lobbying, and I'll read it to you. The commission may, at a regular call meeting and by 4/5 affirmative vote, approve all additional expenses for commission members to travel and per diem expenses which are for the direct benefit for the city business, for attendance at educational seminars and conventions, advocating, which is lobbying, and dinners at the legal cities or other similar events, expenses and per diem shall be limited as approved by Florida statutes. That went on the ballot on the 2018.
Again, no education program before that, right? And the beauty of that is you remove that word lobbying, which I'm no English major, but I know lobbying basically means going out there politicking, advocating for your city.
Yes.
But to your average Joe citizen,
It has a different connotation.
it has a different connotation.
Yeah.
So that,
Negative
the
one.
way that was
Yeah,
written, they
negative.
removed that.
That's precisely why I put, instead of lobbying, I said advocating. Okay?
So that got shot down, I'm assuming.
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah, and listen,
It was voted down, however.
we come from the city of Miami where we took a 30% pay cut. And what was promised to the citizenry was $34 a year in
20
savings.
bucks.
20 books.
And
for that-
Savings of 20 bucks a year
Yeah.
on their tax.
For that, we took a 30% pay cut, so trust me when I,
In 2007.
yeah. It's, the only way
Crazy.
to get any of this approved is to educate the public. If after our best effort educating them, it's a no, then it's a no. But I think personally, it's a fairness issue. You know, just because you all are volunteers and whoever fought, you know, whoever's next, whoever came before volunteered, doesn't mean we as residents shouldn't be mindful of that and compensate you for your time and effort. And a little bit, you know what I mean?
Is it costs money to go to Tallahassee and to do these things, and you guys are volunteering, so.
We budgeted, I mean,
Yeah.
as far as our trip is concerned.
Yes,
we
they're
budget-
paid by the
We
city,
budget the airfare and we budget the lodging.
the lodging.
And of course, we get the, based on the Florida State statutes, we get the meal per diem. But other than that, that's it. Lenny, did you have something?
No, I just wanted to say that we covered this on the last meeting, and we said that if we were gonna fight for something, was gonna be like the one we just added to establish, when we had Yolanda go back and do that research, because we knew this one had just been, did not pass on the last election. But you guys do get the per diem and things that you need for when you go to Tallahassee.
For
She
the
covered
meals.
that,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So,
Yeah, so as long as it, then that's.
yeah, they're covered.
That one particular sentence, can it be stricken? Rather than
We can-
rewording it, can it just be stricken?
We-
Doesn't seem to serve a
Without putting
purpose.
it on, you mean without putting it on the ballot?
What?
A change,
Well, I don't know how
Mr.
that,
Attorney,
would it
do we
have to
have
be put
to-
on the ballot?
to just strike a sentence, does it have to go on the ballot, or could that just be voted
You're
upon
still
here?
changing the city charter, but
Anything that you change, any wording that you change has to go on the ballot.
What's your answer?
yeah, that sentence seems redundant.
But I don't, in the interest of not confusing the voters, we should probably not even
Yeah.
go there this time.
Right.
If we're
Like-
gonna address paragraph 1, I think, unfortunately, paragraph 3 will have to wait for the next charter review.
For sure, yeah.
Actually,
Yes.
an additional paragraph that we're gonna insert.
We're gonna
there,
insert an
Because we're
addition.
leaving you
We're
with the
gonna-
$20.
Exactly, we're gonna,
So
so,
it's an
so,
additional paragraph we're gonna insert in there.
All right, so let's,
okay, so,
Shall we move on?
Yeah, I just thought of something. This might sound kind of crazy.
What?
But if we just put one question on the ballot
fine.
that would read something like, the City of West Miami Commission shall have the right to, by fiat, change the charter of the City of West Miami.
I'm sorry?
That, and you know what? I mean, that's kind of, vague and
I didn't hear that,
ambiguous, you know?
Mayor.
He's gonna repeat it, I'm just, let him finish in his thought.
to-
Okay, so go. The attorney did not hear what you,
the wording has to be sort of like embellished, not so it doesn't sound like, what it is, but we can say something, it would save a lot of problems, if the city of West Miami by fiat can change its city charter.
Pardon my ignorance, I
commission?
don't know what the word
Yeah.
fiat means.
I know what it means, but it does sound like you're trying to back into the doorway. And I get
I'm
it.
saying,
but-
we're trying to get something passed.
No,
It
the-
hasn't
the-
passed, and I don't think it will be
The
passed.
answer is no,
Okay, all
Commissioner.
right. Okay, I just, I'm just throwing, maybe something will stick. mean, I don't know.
Basically, what he was asking, can the city commission, now and forever, just be able to change the
So,
charter
yeah,
at will?
it's money, you know?
Whenever they want,
That sounds
without,
like- that
without,
sounds like-
without going to the voters. I love it, I love it.
Fija.
All right, so,
So, what was it, $3,600?
And you know, we'll tell,
Yeah.
it works, we'll
Yeah.
tell the
It's
resident,
already
it's
on.
for
It's
your
not
own
that
good.
it's not happening. The attorney already
They're already put it
struck
No,
it
but
down.
I'm saying, we'll convince them, we'll say, hey, this is for your own good, this is for your own good.
So,
It
we're,
seems to be working today.
we're leaving we're gonna leave 3.0 and we're gonna have a ballot. The attorney will come up with the ballot, wording, to establish a $300 monthly
Compensation.
compensation
Yes,
for mayor and city commission,
that's correct.
okay? So far we've got we'll have two, things on the ballot. All right, so, I believe that the vice mayor wanted us to skip
Yes.
3.6.
3.5, right?
3.06.
3.06.
Oh, so we can go on with, did we do 3.05?
We did
already?
5.
We did, all right,
We did, and it
so,
was okay.
oh, we were, go ahead, yes.
I
You mean
might
skip
have
it
been
because he's not here?
confused because what he asked to postpone
3.7.
was 307.
So,
We're going to 306 now.
306 is what you have in order to review.
So,
today.
all right, so we are now on 3.06, and I do have a note here. Start next meeting, October
Yeah.
6th.
Yeah.
All right, so we are on 3.06. Madam Clerk, we're still going by the agenda, right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so next item, 3.06.
with the sunshine
That's
law
the sunshine law.
stating that the three councilmen getting together to call a meeting is in violation of that. Potentially.
We kind of started to discuss it because I have a note here.
Yes.
I underlined 3 of the members of the council, and it's against the sunshine rule. So let's discuss this.
It says special meetings may be held on the call of the mayor or of 3 of the members of the council. So it's not just 3 members, the mayor by themselves.
No, it's saying by the mayor or
Mhm.
3 members, and I put a note here, question, isn't that against the sunshine rule?
Well, for the 3 of them to get together and
Or to even
somehow
discuss
decided.
having the meeting?
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, in two,
It's in there.
you can talk to yourself.
I think someone mentioned
Some people do.
maybe bringing in the city manager. I think it was the vice mayor that mentioned that. Bringing the city manager as, you know, if I want to call a special meeting, I go to her.
Yeah.
And
they were
then
talking
the
about
other
that.
commissioners can also go to her, and then once they have 3, or however.
But she's not allowed to do that either. I remember we discussed that.
May I? And I
Yes.
think maybe going back in time, what I think applies to these 3 members of the commission calling a vote. Let's just say that for the sake of conversation, the mayor's out of the country on vacation with her family. There's a hurricane coming, and the manager needs to get some emergency items appropriated or approved. And she needs 3 members of the city commission, or the acting mayor actually can call for a meeting. But the acting mayor's not answering his or her phone. What happens? The manager can reach out to the commission members and say, we need to call for a meeting, there's no time to wait, there's an emergency situation. And the 3 members of the city commission who are in town and available say, yes, go ahead and ask the clerk to prepare an agenda with the emergency items. I think that's the intent of the 3 members being able to call for a commission meeting.
No, that's the intention. That's the intention.
Exactly.
For 3 commissioners.
Mhm. And in the past, you know, we have had mayors and other commission members, I mean, that have been gainfully employed while they're serving as commissioners and not available during a certain hour of the day to talk to us. So I think it provides for a vehicle for an emergency meeting if an emergency should arise. That's just my thoughts.
All right.
If I may say, I think Mr. Attorney, you brought it up the last time that we should discuss this. You thought it was a concern, but if she's saying it's on an emergency type of thing, is that justifiable to leave it as is?
I suggested in the past to have for the commission to pass an ordinance authorizing the mayor the manager to act on a case of an emergency, a declaration of emergency by the mayor.
Oh, okay.
So, as I say, the manager can state, I need, and call several people and say, I need this, and let's go ahead and call for a meeting. But as I say, there's always have been a concern, not by me only, but by the Office of the Attorney General. That had, there's a lady by the name of Pat Gleason that specializes in government and sunshine, and she has stated time and again that that's a concern. Now, had they ever implemented anything against it? The answer is no, they have not. Have we ever had that situation in the city of West Miami? The answer is no. And usually, for instance, the county, any commissioner can call a meeting to confer with another commissioner whenever that commission is that meeting is advertised, publicly advertised. Yes, sir.
Would it help to add a caveat to this specifying what falls under the special meeting category? Like a declared state of emergency, a situation where the mayor finds themselves unavailable, incapacitated. Because as it is right now, I see what you mean. It almost seems like, well, if those three are having a meeting or calling a special meeting, they must have talked about what it was about.
Right.
The answer is it's very difficult to put in 75 words the meaning of your intent. It would be impossible to say, define emergency. What is an emergency for you might not be an emergency for me. You might say emergency by the governor, you know.
Well, in terms of emergency, it's whatever we in West Miami deem as our emergency. So maybe the city administrator can, a declared emergency by the city administrator.
I drafted an ordinance, didn't I, Madam Mayor, Madam Manager?
You were working on an ordinance. I don't know if it was at the request of a member of the city commission, but I don't believe that it's ever come to the table for approval.
So you and I discussed it.
But you and I discussed it, yes, sir.
At your request,
Not at my request.
and my request.
You mean come to the table at, the commission?
No,
Come to this table?
no, it did not.
To the commission. It never made it to a commission agenda.
And that ordinance would change 3.06?
No, I think what
Procedure
Mr. Villalobos was conveying, that he was looking into the preparation of an ordinance that would empower the manager to take some immediate emergency steps in the absence of a commission meeting
I recall
to
that.
address
I
emergencies.
recall that.
I don't believe that ordinance ever passed. I don't, Anetti, right?
No.
No, it never went out to the commission.
No.
They say, I mentioned it to someone, I don't know whether I talked to the mayor, I don't
Yeah.
remember.
And the
But
issue
I
is
know that I
the,
talked to people.
the manager has spending limits by charter. Unless it's something that's in the budget, unless it's something that's a budgeted item, but any expenditure over $7,500 requires commission action. Let's say there's a hurricane, God forbid, and you have to bring a contractor on board. We need to call for an emergency meeting, because if our meetings have a span of 2 weeks in between meetings and we have an emergency, we have to declare the emergency because we need to act on what the issue is before us. So because I have limited monies that I can access by charter or by code, the threshold, then an emergency meeting of the city commission would be appropriate at that moment in time.
As it stands, Madam City Manager, are you empowered to request a special meeting?
I could contact the city attorney and ask him if it would be okay for me to contact the
And at
commissioners
that point, you
individually,
Well, that's what we
I
need.
would call the mayor first of all.
right?
That's what we need to change. This, let's change it to special meetings may be held on the call of the mayor and/or city manager.
It makes absolute sense. She's the one that's
You're the one that's
administrating the
gonna
city.
know if we
I'm gonna be
need
here all day
Right.
long,
a
every
special
day.
meeting.
Right.
So it should not be the commission, it should be mayor and/or city manager.
That eliminates the illusion
I agree.
of commissioners getting together and saying, let's hold a meeting. This makes sense. The city manager sees something that needs to be brought to the attention. Mayor, the two figureheads.
And we did it, and upon no less than 24 hours' notice to each member and the public.
That's fine.
Yes?
That
Mr.
sounds
Attorney?
good to me.
Mr.
Yeah.
Attorney?
Yes?
Does that sound,
Yeah.
Makes more sense.
does that make more sense to you?
Yes.
Okay.
So we put this one on the ballot as well.
Question number 3, correct?
3.6.
3.06, we will change that last sentence to read special meeting, well, we will add,
Eliminate the three members.
we delete of 3 of the members of council,
So it's mayor.
and we add mayor and/or city manager.
Mm-hmm.
Add, I'm sorry, the mayor's over there, we will add and/or city manager. And/or city manager.
Feels like 1948 is slowly melting away.
Okay. All in favor of that change, aye?
Aye.
All, anyone opposed? All right, we've got our third ballot. Our third ballot entry. Okay. Let's continue on to the rest of 3.06. Any other changes or discussions or comments on the remaining part of 3.06?
I'm not gonna rain on anybody's parade, I'm just gonna make a comment, okay?
Go. You can rain on the parade, go.
Okay. I have mentioned many times that Robert's Rules of Order is rules that shall be made for private enterprises. That the normal governmental rules are the Mason's Rules of Order. Okay. Now, is it many people, many municipalities use it, but the thing is that to change from one to the other is not easy. So, but as I say, Mason rules is dedicated. I think that I have here.
You're referring to B, correct? Rules and
This-
Journal?
Este libro, Pepe.
Yeah, here's the- This one I never made a journey.
No, I don't have it here. The question is, can you still use the Robert's rules if you want to?
Together from time to time.
Except that you understand that there are certain rules in the Robert's Rules of Order that's not applicable to government. Okay?
Do you want to add that wording or leave it as is, Mr. Attorney?
It's up to you.
Whereas the other one only applies to government? Is that what you're saying?
Masons applies to government usually.
Strictly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Robert's rules apply to private enterprises, but it's also used in the government by many municipalities and many governmental agencies. So you may leave it if you want to.
Well, if you remember the history of City of West Miami, it was formed by 3 businessmen that wanted to extend drinking and gambling. So there's your answer.
Maybe you want to put that on the ballot.
Any comments or
Maybe
questions
that's why
on?
there's contradictions in the charter.
Maybe that's why.
That's a joke, by the way.
Yes, I know.
So do we leave it? Do we want to discuss changing it?
Which one did you say just governs, you know,
Mason's
Masons.
rules of order.
Mason rule.
could we change it from Roberts to Masons?
That's up to you.
Would that make more sense?
Well,
Since
it makes
we're-
sense to him, but how do you explain that
Let's
to,
do it,
when you, if you put it in the ballot, you have to explain why.
Here's,
And what is it? You see,
Yeah.
the problem is that it's a complicated thing to explain in 75 words
Yeah.
the meaning of, or explaining what one is against the other. So it has never been touched because of that reason. See, it's not that it's not appropriate or inappropriate, it's that how do you explain Mason's rules? Or
So
how do you
some-
explain, as a matter of fact, if you go out to the street and ask 10 people, what is Robert's Rules of Order, probably 10 would say no, they don't know, you know?
Ivan?
so, I'm Cuban, so I can say this. This is like us changing the wording of something and telling every Cuban in Miami, you will speak proper Castilian Spanish from this day forth.
It's the same thing.
It's gonna
It's-
go over their head.
Yeah.
Honestly,
So
he's,
something-
he's right. Mason's rules is the correct one. I'm sitting here trying to remember any governmental organization or union that I know of that uses it. Everybody knows the language of Robert's rules.
Right.
Even if it's not the precise one.
But it's my duty to bring it up, you know?
No, yeah, I just, in my opinion, it's just something that
All their charters are.
we don't want to stir up right now, because on top of changing it, we'd have to retrain everybody. And then retrain whoever we do business with and whoever we, you know what I mean? It's like learning a second language for everybody else.
So needless to say, we're moving on.
Yes.
Moving on.
We're moving on.
Yeah.
B remains as is, and unchanged because it's gonna be very difficult. This is one that Major Delgado would say is the juice worth the squeeze, or is the other way around?
Is
Is the
The
squeeze
squeeze
worth the juice,
worth
right?
the juice.
Something like that.
Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Exactly. That one stays on. Okay, so continuing on, any other changes, comments, or questions that we'd like to see in the remainder of 3.06? Any other things you'd like to bring up in 3.06, Mr. Attorney?
Nope.
Let's go to 307, maybe.
No, 307, we're gonna skip.
We're gonna skip.
Okay, all in favor of going on?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. At the request of the vice mayor, we are going to postpone, we're gonna skip 3.07.
Yes.
So, Madam Clerk, 3.07 will be on the
Next
next
meeting.
agenda, at the next meeting. Okay. 3.08, Mayor and Vice Mayor. Any comments, concerns, questions, or requested changes? Mr. Attorney, anytime you want to chime in,
Nope,
feel free.
plain language.
That reads like English.
Okay? All in favor of moving on?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we move on. Article 4, Administrative, 4.01, City Manager. Pretty self-explanatory.
City manager, speak now or hold your breath for.
City Manager?
I've been
You're
living
right.
with this for a long
You're
time,
on
so
your
I'm
own.
good.
This is your chance.
Anyone opposed to moving on? Okay, moving on to 4.02. And anytime we move on, we can always revisit if something comes
Yeah.
up at later meetings, okay? 4.02, appointment, removal, and compensation. We got A, B, and C.
Yeah, change the language to, the council shall appoint the city manager for an indefinite term and may remove him by a majority vote of its members.
Yeah, we can
Make it a little more androgynous. Him or her, she or he.
Him or her, and I think we did that, Aneri, I don't know whether you remember. Yeah, but I don't think
Ma'am.
Municode picked up on it. I think we did change it. Mr. Villalobos cleaned up the language on that years ago. We'll revisit it because it really doesn't change the message. It just addresses the gender being a male or female.
We did discuss that.
Well,
Yeah,
you
but
might
if it-
offend
if it's
people.
several places-
You might offend people by saying that.
It might offend people to know that I brought that up.
No, yeah, we have discussed that, so what do we do?
Maybe now it's not him or her, but it's something else. I mean,
It.
I don't remember.
Them.
I don't remember the word, but there's a word for it.
What is
No,
that?
well, then.
Non-binary,
Non-binary.
non-binary.
Yeah.
Change it to the manager every time, repeat the word the manager.
The
Remove
manager.
the manager. There
Yeah,
you
that's
go.
a great idea.
Take off the pronoun.
Them would
What
be
is that
proper English,
considered,
right?
Would they-
The manager.
will manager?
The manager.
who addresses that change? Is that,
Should it be the woman?
Mr. Villalobos, does that have to go to the ballot, or is that, if,
I mean,
if
don't you have certain,
latitude?
leverage,
Yeah.
in
doesn't this fall into what we said, every
Yeah.
time you saw council, it
Read-
should say city commission?
Right,
Then they left it, and they put a note somewhere, at the end of the charter that says that wherever it reads, council, it means commission,
right.
That's in the
so
front, yeah.
I don't.
So can we do the same thing here?
I've seen
Wherever
that
it says-
before, when
Mhm.
referencing the city manager, and whenever a city manager is referenced, it'll be referenced as a him or her, but it indicates both.
The manager.
Yeah,
The manager.
the
The
manager.
manager.
3.01.
And there's several of those all through the documents.
So how do we make that request, Madam Clerk?
That would be in 3.01,
I mean,
right?
we're cleaning
Mr.
it up,
Villalobos,
so-
does that require a ballot change, or that's something that you could bring as part of an ordinance or a resolution to the city, that wherever there is a mention of the manager, in this case, as referred to him, be referred to as city manager instead of more
That would be,
gender-driven?
If you put that in a ballot, people will laugh at you.
No, so
You know?
how do we make this change?
What is
How
the
do we make this
process?
change?
Okay, can I ask a question? I remember last charter review, you mentioned something, I don't remember the words, but you said there's a certain, I don't know,
Freedom.
things that are obvious or a mistake
Yes,
or
yes,
whatever.
we did,
that-
we
that
did.
You as the attorney have the right to
Yes.
Yeah.
make those changes.
Re-letter,
Renumber.
renumber,
Yes,
re-letter.
yes. Would this not fall under that as well?
I would not touch it, Madam Mayor.
We don't touch it?
I would not touch it personally, but the rest is up to you.
It's because of,
It's not make or break.
All right,
all right.
all right. We'll forever be known as a council,
I just thought
and you'll
it'd be,
forever be known as a him.
So,
yeah, I thought it's a quick fix.
Mayor,
Nothing's a quick
you know, if they're gonna fire him, they can't touch you.
Madam Mayor, sticks and stones may hurt your bones, but
So,
names
all
will
right,
never
so
hurt.
we move on.
Yeah, I thought it was just a,
Next time we have 401 or what?
All right, so we're moving on. Anyone opposed to moving on to 4.03?
No.
Okay, 4.03 it is.
Go ahead.
Acting city manager. Pretty self-explanatory. Moving on, 4.04.
Same issues with the pronouns, so nothing else. Fine.
Okay? No comments, suggestions. We move on to 4.05. Speak now, forever hold your peace. Madam Clerk.
she get him too.
Yeah.
Madam Clerk, any changes you'd like made in 4.05?
No, it's okay. That's ordinance, qualified candidates, supervise elections, that's what alerts
Everything
do.
is fine there.
I think it's fine. That's part of what I do.
I have a
do like.
suggestion. I have a
lot more.
suggestion.
Yes.
In a state of every time you need to go out or vacation, you have to report to the 5 of us. Why don't you report just to the city manager instead of calling each of us?
Because under your jurisdiction, under the commission's purview.
Says the city clerk shall be answerable to and be under the supervision and control of the city council,
Yes.
and be directly in communication with the city council without any prohibition.
That will require change.
Yes.
That would require a change.
It was discussed at the last charter review to go under the city clerk, under the city manager, and it was not approved. It was not taken obviously to as a question as charter amendment, but it was discussed and members voted no to the clerk go under the city manager.
Have you ever been denied vacation?
No.
You ever, any issues getting your vacation?
No, but you have to go through every one of
Keep it as
us.
is.
Yes. Every
The
time that
good
I
news
need
is you're all in
time
one
off or-
place at least once a month.
Yes.
If it's not broke.
All right, next.
4.05 remains
sorry.
unchanged.
Yeah.
4.05 remains unchanged.
We have 5 more minutes.
Oh, we
that's
did,
right.
all right, so let's stop here. Let's stop here and, open the table up for any comments, concerns, questions. Our next meeting is scheduled already, right?
Yes.
Yes?
October 20.
What?
October 20th,
Commission meeting, right?
commission, next commission meeting.
What time, favorite time?
At 5:30.
5:30?
All right, so we're starting the next meeting with 4.06, or revisiting anything that, well, actually, no, we have to revisit, we have to go back to 3.07.
Yes.
See how
And the
efficient
one that,
this whole thing is.
Yes,
Right,
which is that
yeah.
3.07.
But there's not much,
There's no fooling around with this group. Let's get it done. Boom, boom, boom,
So,
boom.
Madam
We are,
Clerk, is this meeting
this,
adjourned?
I'm sorry, yes.
you.
All in
Thank you.
favor of adjourning this meeting? Aye. Meeting's
Aye.
adjourned
Aye.
at 6:55,
Time of death.
6:52.
Time of death, 1852. All right, honey,